The city has a way of devouring men like me. It doesn't matter if you step off a plane, a boat, or crawl out of the ocean. New York looks at you, weighs your worth, and decides whether to spit you out or grind you down until you're dust. There are nights when the city's noise feels too heavy, sirens crying, trains roaring beneath my feet, neighbors screaming through thin walls. And in those moments, my mind drifts thousands of miles away, back to Idanre, back to the soil where my name meant something. Nigeria, the place I call home. My name is Joshua Korede. I didn't come here chasing dreams like most. I came here because I had no other place left to run. I worked the night shifts no one wanted, scrubbing other people's stains from the designer clothes, pressing shirts that would never hang on my shoulders, mending suits for men who wouldn't shake my hand in public. I was invisible, and I thought invisibility would save me. Then I saw her. It was raining that night, the kind of rain that doesn't fall, but hammers, flooding the gutters, soaking the streets until they gleamed like oil-slick mirrors. I was locking up the laundromat on East Broadway when I heard it. The sharp snap of a door slamming, the muted thud of a body hitting the wall, a muffled sob. I glanced across the street, and through the half-open door of a brownstone, I caught sight of her. Claire Donovan. Her face was pale under the harsh hall light, her hair a mess of blonde strands clinging to damp skin. She stood frozen, one arm shielding her ribs, her eyes, those piercing, fragile eyes, locking onto mine for just a second, long enough for me to see the fear, long enough for me to see the bruises she tried to hide. And then the door slammed shut. I should have walked away. In a city like this, you don't get involved. You don't stare too long at a stranger's pain. But that moment, her eyes, wide and pleading, searching for someone, anyone, it was a hook in my chest, and it dragged me deeper than I ever meant to go. Days turned into nights, and I began to notice her everywhere. At the market near Lexington, always with sunglasses, no matter the weather. At the pharmacy, buying makeup in shades meant to cover, not to shine. Sometimes she walked past the laundromat, clutching her coat tight, and for a split second, her eyes would flicker toward the glass, toward me. I wanted to tell myself I imagined it, that she wasn't looking for me, that she wasn't silently begging. But the truth was carved in her posture, her silence, the way she carried herself like someone who had forgotten what safety felt like. And then came the night she finally spoke. She walked into the laundromat just before closing, clutching a small bag of clothes like it was an excuse. She hesitated at the counter, eyes darting to the window, to the street outside, as though someone might be watching. "Can you keep these until tomorrow?" she asked, her voice barely audible, threaded with tension. Her hands trembled as she set the bag down. I nodded, forcing calm into my voice. Of course. For the briefest moment, relief softened her features, and then she whispered, "Thank you," like those two words carried more weight than her whole world. But nothing in this city stays hidden for long. That's when Michael Donovan entered the story. Michael was the kind of man New York worships. Impeccable suits, perfect smile, handshakes that could lock you into debt or fortune. He ran hedge funds like a puppeteer pulling invisible strings, and the city danced for him. Judges, cops, journalists. On magazine covers, he was the golden boy. At home, he was a tyrant, and he knew me. Or at least, he knew about me. The first time he approached, it was on a subway platform. I felt him before I saw him, standing too close, his cologne sharp as gun oil, his smile slicing through the crowd. "You're Joshua, right?" he asked casually, like we were old friends. His eyes flicked down the platform, then back to me. Claire says, "You're very helpful at the laundromat." My blood froze. I hadn't told her my name. Michael leaned in, his voice dropping low, his tone almost playful. "I admire hardworking men, but hardworking men sometimes forget the place." Then the train screeched into the station, and when I looked again, he was gone. From that moment, the city itself turned against me. I started noticing shadows trailing me home. Cars idling too long near the laundromat. My landlord suddenly threatening eviction over noise complaints I knew were fabricated. Michael's reach was everywhere, and with every passing day, Claire's bruises grew darker, her smiles more brittle. We met in stolen moments, her slipping notes into laundry bags, me scribbling replies on scraps of receipt paper. Each word was dangerous, each glance was a risk. And yet I couldn't stop. She told me Michael's paranoia was growing, that he checked her phone, followed her into rooms, timed her errands. "He doesn't just want to own me," she whispered once, her voice trembling. "He wants to erase me." I promised her I wouldn't let that happen, but promises in this city are fragile things. The countdown began the night I found a note hidden in her laundry. "He's planning something. If you don't hear from me after Friday, it's too late." My hands shook as I read it, the paper damp with sweat. Friday. That was 3 days away, 3 days before Michael erased her completely. Every hour after that felt like a ticking bomb. I couldn't sleep, couldn't work. The city's noise became unbearable. Sirens, footsteps, the endless hum of danger. I followed her brownstone from a distance, watching her windows glow and darken, praying for a sign she was still alive. And then Friday came. It was just past midnight when I saw her. Through the rain-streaked glass of the penthouse, she stood at the window, her silhouette backlit, one hand pressed against the glass as though reaching out to me. Behind her, a darker shadow moved, a man's shadow, Michael's, and then the lights went out. The street fell silent, the rain pounding harder, and for one long, unbearable moment, the city itself seemed to hold its breath. I ran across the street, up the brownstone steps, my fists hammering against the door. "Claire!" No answer. Inside, a muffled scream, a crash, the sound of something breaking, and then silence. I don't know what happened next. My memory fractures. The door swinging open, Michael's face twisted in a smile that didn't reach his eyes, the metallic glint of something in his hand. But I do know this: the moment I stepped inside that house, everything changed. Because when I opened my eyes again, I was on the floor, blood on my shirt, and Claire was gone.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Crimson Motives channel for more thrilling stories.